So Facebook is a punk. I mean, it's not working well.
Facebook does not work well with others. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I think we're live.
We
Yes,
are.
Hey, on
I know.
YouTube.
All right,
YouTube.
somebody record.
I'm
There you go.
recording. Everything's set up. I'm going to share my screen and Bobsy can kick us off.
Awesome. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for joining us at 1 Million Cups Albuquerque. I'm Bobsy Sinanzale of the Black Gold Wellness Lounge. We are going to get started here. Hello, everybody on YouTube, everybody on the Zoom.
Sorry.
And no
my fault.
worries. No worries. So we are going to get started once we get through some of these slides here. All right. So if you're new to 1 Million Cups, our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. So with that being said, we can go on to the next. We have a national and local mission of working together towards creating a consistent program for each 1MC presenter nationwide, while also highlighting the uniqueness and value proposition to our local startup community. So we do have the Southwest region popping up here on the screen, and you can see our little bitty pin there. We are here and we ain't going nowhere. So tell your friends about us. And also, if you are wanting to apply to other places, we encourage that as well. So our key pillars are, we do presentations and not pitches. We want authentic connections and not networking. And this is run for our community, by our community. So we are radically and intentionally inclusive as well. So if you have a for-profit business, we want to encourage you to apply to present. We'll follow up with you and then we'll assign you a coach from there. So here's your Albuquerque volunteering team. Again, my name is Bobsy. We have Paul Souter. We've got Lisa Adkins, Eric Renz-Whitmore, Adam Brechtel, and Sonia Doing. Here are some of our sponsors: JCP Photography, Naventa, More Than Organized, Loza and Loza, who does our coffee when we're together, and Fat Pipe ABQ, where Lisa is currently located. So if you need a space, go to Fat Pipe. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Adam. He's going to introduce our presenter for today.
That's a great picture, John. So John King is our presenter, and he has Glasswater Angler, and he's been presenting all over the nation, and it's been pretty exciting. We're happy to have him because of the really neat angle he has on, well, that pun wasn't even intended, that he has on fishing. And I originally thought it was made of glass. That's why I call it Glasswater, but they're not made of glass, even though I guess that's a possibility. So he'll tell you more about what his anglers are about. John, you're good to go.
All right. Let me push this up here. Do that. That. Yeah, slideshow. Play from the start. Here we go. All right. Cups Albuquerque this morning. They tell me let's start off with my ask. Methods for and advice for increasing wait a minute. What is it? Methods and advice for increasing whatever it says over there at the edge. I can't see because of the bar. But anyway, there's my ask. Okay, now I'm going to get this started with a couple of suppositions, if I might. First of all, I assume some people out there like to fish. I hope more than a few of you. And I assume some people out there probably drink water. Now I can already tell there's a contrarian or two out there shaking their head no to both those questions, but we can't get into that right now because the problem is whether you fish in it or just like to drink the stuff, lead contamination of our waters from lost fishing tackle is something we all need to be concerned about. My name is John King, and I am the co-founder of Glasswater Angling, and we are out to do nothing short of but to change the way we fish in the United States and eventually around the world. Glasswater Angling is out to be the most comprehensive lead-free fishing tackle company to date. Now, how did we get started on this lofty ideal and this big journey? Well, it all started in 2011 when we were cruising the Northeast with our daughter, Sarah, looking over different colleges. And we were staying with friends in Massachusetts. And I got a fishing license and I saw that lead lures and weights under an ounce were prohibited in Massachusetts waters. So I became really curious about what that was about. And I found that 5 other states have similar laws, and they were enacted largely for the protection of the American loon here. Because the loon is particularly susceptible to picking up small weights off the bottom of a stream or a lake when they go to pick gravel for their digestion. Also, they're a predator bird. So when they see a lost lead lure, just like a fish, they think it's food. They eat the lure, they get toxified, and they die. But we're not just talking about loons. We're going to talk about swans, grebes, bottle ducks, mergansers. Any aquatic bird or semi-aquatic bird is susceptible to picking up lost lead tackle, either by picking up grit, sieve feeding off the bottom, or thinking it's food and eating the lure itself. And of course, scavengers, when they eat the deceased waterfowl, that toxicity passes right up the food chain and they die too. So you see, we have 2,000 tons of lead going into our rivers, lakes, and coastal waters every fishing season. That's 150,000 tons of lead that's being concentrated in these aquatic environments since these products began to be mass produced shortly after World War II. I mean, we're basically talking 500 million lead objects every fishing season in the path of wildlife, 35 billion lead objects concentrated in these aquatic habitats, these rich aquatic and highly used aquatic habitats since the late 40s. How many animals do we lose? The estimates are all over the place, but bottom line, 1 to 2 million. Top estimate, 12 million animals, mostly birds, but scavengers as well, are lost to sporting lead every season, either hunting or fishing. So I began to look at what the tackle manufacturers were providing anglers in terms of lead-free solution, and what I found was basic 101. We're just going to take the lead out, put a different metal in, make the product out of a different metal. And the problem is that I saw that the lead-free was harder to get. The selection was low. Nothing wrong with starting out with a 101 solution, but there was plenty more room to advance the ideas and plenty more approaches out there that we could come at to help anglers fish lead-free. Also, I saw that the producers were fragmented. You know, they're either producing this product or that product, or only producing from a family of products. And so they're fragmented, they're scattered, whether they're big, small, or somewhere in between. There's no big unifying company yet. But so our idea is to have a comprehensive company that can provide for the microfisher to the big river catfisher all the way out to the soft life angler. We want to be able to supply everybody with the tackle they need to go and stay lead-free. Now, we're going to talk about the marketplace, and the marketplace is basically hovers around, a little below or a little above 50 million people. And we've divided that into 3 different groups. The first group, represented by my friends Clay and Zoe Groves here of the Fish Nerds podcast out of New Hampshire, which is one of the lead-free states. They've got to fish lead-free. They're part of the 9 million anglers that are our captive audience. They're in the lead-free states. They have to fish lead-free to stay legal. And of course, they're always looking for cool lead-free lures right from the start. Now, the second group is represented by my friend Geraldine here. We have 17 million kids out there fishing, and they've got moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents. Everybody wants them to have the safest, best fishing experience possible. So Geraldine doesn't know anything about fishing except that her 4 boys love it, but she jumped on lead-free fishing right off because not only is she concerned about the environment at large, but her home environment as well, giving the safest, best fishing experience possible. She's a very significant target market. We go after her a little differently than we do the fishers, but it's something that bears notice. The most important group is represented by our chief field tester, Todd Birdie Birdsell. He represents the 33 million anglers out there that identify themselves as fishers, that fish an average of 16 or more times a year. And 92% of these people would describe themselves as environmentally minded or conservation minded, but they're not out there to save the environment. They're out there to catch fish. And so as part of the lead-free movement, we've got to make sure that our solutions not only meet lead, but hopefully beat lead in terms of effectiveness to win these guys over, to win their trust. We also have to make sure lead-free is as available as lead products, and that we get a comparable price. Because if we can do those things, then we're not going to need to put the law on people. They will switch to lead-free on their own. Now, as far as our company goes, we have two basic branches of how we're doing this. We're going to start off, of course, making lead-free replacements for existing lead products like our Jester jigs, our tin bismuth jig heads, and our hematite slick weights. These are all to help people take the lead out and put a replacement product in. But like any fishing company, you've got to have cool proprietary stuff of your own. That's just how it works, and that's just how it's done. And we've got that covered right here with our couple of lures that we invented, one in 16, one in 19. This one is Angle King. And there's an 8-pound walleye for you. And that's one we came out with last year. It's called Crappie Dealer. And there's our field tester, Chris, slaying the smallies on it. It's a great lure. It's our #1 seller. So we've got a two-branch sort of system there. And of course, we're going to do side products like T-shirts and promotion products, and possibly carry things like jig tying materials to cross-sell with our jig heads and so on. But that's basically our company strategy. Now, we've got a giant marketing thing that we have to accomplish, because not only do we have to raise awareness of the issue and the company, but also as me as a great fisherman, an authority on lead-free fishing. Todd is a professional outdoorsman. We need to raise his visibility. Right now, we're doing the low-cost, no-cost stuff. Of course, we have a website. We do as many talks as anyone we can get to listen to us about lead-free fishing and Glasswater's place in it. We have a Facebook business page, and we have our fishing lead-free group that we're starting. Please feel free to sign up. I've got 3 Instagram feeds. I've started a YouTube channel. We're up to 1,100 subscribers. Hope to be to twice that by the end of the year. And one of my favorite things is I got invited to be a correspondent on the Fish Nerds podcast. And whether you fish or not, you ought to give it a listen. It's about fishing and eating fish. We're all about the environment. We're all about lead-free fishing. And I got asked to be a correspondent there. A lot of people were saying, hey, especially the young folks were saying, hey, start a podcast. Podcasts are super important. I didn't have the time, but I was able to join one. Now, personally, I am in a good spot to, get this mission going and hopefully get this mission accomplished and inspire people to follow suit. I've been fishing for 55 years. I've been messing around with tackle for 40 some years. I've got the drive. I've got the vision. I've got the people skills. I was in the restaurant food business for 20 years. I like people. I like to get out and interact with people. Our main asset, though, is that I have a rock solid partner named Kathy that's 100% behind what we're doing, because we both share a vision of a lead-free future for the USA and angling in general around the world. We want to set the fishing scene on the road to a smaller footprint in the environment and lead the way down a wide lane of our own to a better outdoors. Thank you very much for having me here this morning. And here is my ask detailed out. And we can go to that. And then, of course, I did the information page so that we can flip back and forth between those as you need me to. All right, anybody have questions? I'm ready.
Wow. Take a breath after all that. You're doing whoop.
Yeah. You gave me quite a task. I tried to get it all squeezed in there.
Oh my. So that's cool. The something I didn't know when you first talking about all those other side products you had too. So I've got this is we're going to open for discussion, so people are going to put stuff in the chat on the side, or they're just going to mention that they have a question, and we'll call them on screen. And so right now we have Miriam has a couple suggestions for you.
Super.
Well, they may be a little bit of questioning as well, but in terms of
Miriam, would you introduce who you are before you?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I forget I don't know everybody. Miriam Ortiz-Pino, I'm with More Than Organized. And I have a background in marketing as well. So the how to allocate your resources in terms of time and money, that question gets answered always by what brings the money back first. Where, there's a lot of cool ideas you shared, but where's the money in that? And focus on that. And then I don't know, I have a lot of friends and family that are fisher people, and I don't know if I've ever heard them talking about this. And so I'm going to share it with everybody I know. But there's also two things that came up was that there's fishing shops. Like here we have Los Pinos, and there's a couple at Charlie's, and that are like the go-to places in various mountain towns for people to get all their gear and stuff. And if you get the store owners or their local guide on board, that's a great way to do the marketing inexpensively. And then there's also the resorts on the rivers that if they stock them in their little shop for kind of last minute purchases on the way to the river, that could be really cool way to get I don't know, the word out a little bit differently to the infrequent but high end anglers.
Actually, Miriam, I couldn't agree more. We're right now, our focus is on straight retail and working toward, the limits of my capacity to be able to produce as the one-man show. So we don't do a lot of wholesaling, but when we do go to do that, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start off with Jayhawk Marina right down here, Hillsdale Lakes, 5 minutes from my house. That's where I'm going to go first here, probably after Christmas. And I'm going to start taking a few because I want, you're right. You want to tie in, with a certain tackle shop or a marina. Your guides and your marinas tie in real well together because generally guides operate out of a marina. We do have a guide program. We have sent some baits out to guides. And also what we're doing is we find great field testers and great people to go out and talk up our product. We try to find social media up and comers that aren't so successful that they won't or can't promote us for just for fun. And we've had a lot of luck with that. I've met a lot of really cool people, but yeah, I'm hear you. We're not quite to where we want to wholesale in a big way yet, but targeted wholesaling, like you suggest, is right on.
Perfect.
Thanks, Miriam. Eric just said that was great. That was nice. Thank you, Eric, for that comment. And then Curtis, are you ready to have your question?
Yes, I am. Adam, I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm
actually,
a huge
Curtis,
fisherman.
Curtis,
Yeah, I'll introduce myself.
No,
Yeah.
And you're talking to John.
Oh, John, right. Yeah, you're Adam. All right. Yeah. All right.
I understand.
John, I really enjoyed your presentation. My name's Curtis.
Thank you.
I'm with Epilepsy Research Association. We're a nonprofit here in Albuquerque. I'm a huge fisherman. I have family in Pagosa Springs in Colorado, and all of us fish, I'd say, in combination 100 times plus. So if you need any more testers, we'd love to be a part of that group. And I noticed you have a bunch for walleye and bass. Do you have anything specific to trout? Right
now, most of the trout guys that are dealing with me are buying the jig heads. I've got some little bitty jig heads, the 64th, the 80th, and the 100th ounce, coming, to go that direction. But right now, that's our main thing for, as far as going, toward trout. I want to start stocking the tungsten putty and the lead-free shot. The cool thing, Curtis, that I figured out, I'd be happy to send you some lures. That's no problem. And for, your bigger waters, actually that crappie dealer, my friends in New Hampshire fish them in the lakes for the big rainbows. And they've been catching some landlocked salmon on them too, every now and then. But for your small environments, yeah, we're right now, about all I can do for you is jig heads. But where we've come through getting to talk to people about all these different branches of fishing and how we're going to, what direction should we take? I would ask you, we want to basically stock what would be the most popular items for a bass fisher, trout fisher, crappie fisher, what have you. What would you like to see, Curtis? What would you like to see us come your way with first? Because we don't really do flies and the fly angling thing, but we certainly can help you get the lure down in a lead-free way. We can certainly help you jig fish in a lead-free way.
Something like a Panther Martin. Something in that shape right there.
Okay, now see, there you go. Now you can take those hematite weights that I showed, and we make some spinners. And we kind of have this kings and queens card playing medieval thing going on. So we call them our little Duke spinners. I'll make you up a few of them little Duke spinners and send them to you. Because if you like to fish with an inline, we don't have a through blade spinner yet, like a Panther Martin, but we can do one more like a Mepps or a Rooster Tail or something more like that for you. So I'll send you a few of those to check out.
Yeah, Rooster Tail. Yeah, those ones. They just stocked some lakes near our spot, and they really take Rooster Tails. So I took a screenshot of your contact information. I'll go ahead and hit you up sometime today.
Yeah, that'd be great. Here's
switch to your
there we go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Cool. Then thank you, Curtis. And then Sonia, you have a question.
Actually, I think Miriam got it, which was basically finding, if you want to find focus in your marketing and like find where you're getting the best sells. And if it's connecting with bloggers and connecting with, shops, I think you already know where you're getting the best sells and focusing on those options. That's all I was going to say.
Well, if I would add to that, what makes me kind of tricky for y'all is because see, I'm just starting to move from startup to, taking in money. So I've taken in 38 orders from about 30 customers. So that's kind of what the number 3 is about. I don't have a lot of data for analytics. It's like one guy says, "Oh, I heard you on Fish Nerds." Okay, I know where that one came from. Clearly. Where I'm having trouble is like my marketing mentor from SCORE. She's having me try this Facebook advertising a little bit at a time, and it's I know you've got to hit a threshold of effort before you're going to see return, but there's certain arenas like that. Where I don't have the analytics, I don't have the data to know where the sale came from. So it's kind of hard for me to.
So as someone who uses Facebook advertising, I am going to suggest that you back off on the advertising right now. And someone else in the chat has a great comment, and I'm going to let them talk about it. But they're talking about focusing on your search engine optimization.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Don't get me started. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure you guys have no idea why I'm freaking out, but there's this company called Tim Tom's, and they've been hacking me off since like 2015 because they come up either second or third, and the guy only has one lead-free product, and he dropped it. And so he's basically got this lead jig head company with no lead-free products, but every time you put in lead-free, there you see Tim Tom's. I'm like, how does he manage that when I've got lead-free this, lead-free that, tag, all this stuff, and I'm definitely not optimized because I don't even come up on page 1 yet.
Yeah. So in all honesty, I would take the money that you're paying into those ads and instead maybe find someone who's a specialist in SEO who's not going to charge you an arm and a leg, but someone maybe through your network who could help you make that better. Maybe someone we know.
So that would be great because I've got the typical website disaster story. I was talking with them last week in Albany, and they're like, well, you're going to have to learn to delegate. It's like, I would love to delegate, but I've crashed and burned on 2 web designers.
Oh man.
And back to doing that myself. And like I say, I was lucky to find a podcast I could be on, but I'm not doing everything I'm doing by myself because I want to. It's not an ego thing.
So I'd have to say on search engine optimization, I'm Paul Sauter with Equiseek. The most valuable advice we got that's easy to implement is to put up a blog. And when you write the blog entries, think of the word or phrase that you're trying to optimize and make sure that appears 3 or 4 times in the first paragraph and that the images and the page itself have a title or tags that are relevant to that phrase. So you're optimizing one phrase at a time. And since we started doing that, our results on searches are much, much better. So that's the kind of easiest thing for you to do. And the side benefit of it, you're not figuring out how Google works and hacking it. You're doing what Google wants you to do. So you're providing relevant content that other people on Facebook sites and blogs will cite you as an authority. And so that's the way to get authentic search engine optimization, not tricks, but to be a recognized authority on the subject, which you are, and you're offering a solution that's interesting to people. And they will cite that on their posts, and Google sees that as highly relevant. So
or even
so the only thing you have to do is just optimize that first paragraph, the title, make sure you have tags on all the images, and pick one phrase at a time.
And to add to that, you mentioned you're on YouTube, right?
Yes.
That is brilliant. Now, actually, what you could do is just to create a blog post and upload one of your YouTube blogs onto that blog post, and just transcribe what you said. And so you're just reusing your content that you've already created, but you do have to put the words in there. You have to type them in there in the blog, because that creates better search engine optimization. But you already have content, so just share that on a blog on your website, and that's a good step right there.
And start saying the keywords in the videos as well. So if you always say, lead-free products, or whatever catchphrase works for that particular video, they actually score YouTube rankings on what you say more than the words, but then you can leverage it by also typing the words into the blog post. And I think Sonia's correct with the Facebook advertising. It is dollars in, dollars out when you do Facebook marketing, but only if you already have a site that is optimized for conversion. So if you're trying to make money with your ads and you don't have a great ask and a great call to action that resonates with your market, they won't find the right people on Facebook for you, and it'll feel like you're just always tinkering and spending money without actually getting the sales. So work on the back end first, and then add the Facebook advertising.
Great.
This is John. Can I say something?
All right, it's gone rogue.
It has.
Well, that's okay. This is a great conversation right here, and I think we need to say this. So go ahead, John, and then we'll go on to the next question.
Yeah, a couple of things. Glasswater Angling, the name of your company, is a nice name, but it doesn't really say what you do. Lead-free tackle does. You may want to investigate a URL that better describes your product, your email, your advertising Gmail. You're not advertising Glasswater. So if you had John King at Glasswater Angling or John King at Lead-Free Tackle, it might help your marketing.
And John, who are you?
I'm a consultant. I have my own company, and that's what I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, business development.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kenneth or Ken, do you want to talk, or do you want me to read this thing?
No. First of all, I think one of the things that you might consider is the Fish and Game has extensive programs in the schools, and having them use your tackle and promote the environmental aspect, and that would go to branding your product, not necessarily for immediate sales, but for sales for the fishers of the future. And parents, a friend of mine owned a music store, always said, thank God for parents' credit cards. Parents will buy the product. My second question is, where are you manufacturing this product?
Okay. The first question is I'm down with that completely. I just got my basic instructor, the Fish Kansas basic fishing instructor certification. So I'm ready to get out and do a lot of youth interaction and sponsor some tackle exchanges and some tackle buybacks. Second of all, it depends on what part of it. I get I manufacture stuff right here. I'm sitting here in Glasswater World Headquarters as we speak, and I make a lot of product here. But I also have a casting company, they do Strike King, Arky, a whole bunch of people you may or may not have heard of. They make my jig heads, they make my two lures, the Angle King spinner and the Crappie Dealer spinner for me. So anything on that.
Have you ever consider ramping up to larger manufacturing? I'd recommend New Mexico to come do business.
Okay.
So
I'll keep it in mind.
Speaking of which, Ken, would you introduce who you are?
My name's Kenneth Seguridol. I'm with investnewmexico.us. I'm a film and television producer by trade, but have kind of focused now on business development and investing in New Mexico businesses or businesses willing to relocate to New Mexico.
Thanks, Ken. All right, John, you said very alluring product also. Congrats. And all right, then moving on to John Bell. You have
yeah, very specific suggestion, which others have picked up on, which is fine. So I'm John Bell. I'm the former VP of Enterprise Digital Marketing at Travelers Insurance in Ogilvy before that. So I'm a Chief Marketing Officer, if you will. So, first off, John, you've got great authority. Just the way you were talking about this and you were geeking out with another, participant here today was very inspiring. And so as others have picked up on this idea that you build more content on your website, you hit the nail on the head. You have an issue of building the category of lead-free lures and selling your particular product as a leading product in that space. And so as people will search on Google for both things, the issue of lead-free and the best resource for it, the best lures for it, creating content in both categories on a website that's, as someone pointed out, optimized to convert. That's just language that it's a great store. It's a great shop. It's a great experience overall. So you're already doing some cool things. I haven't looked at them, but the videos, articles that Google will then pick up on and will return against queries when people, type in a question and so forth and so on. Again, that may sound complicated. It's actually not, but perhaps as others have pointed out here, getting some guidance on just the fundamentals of how to set that up, find the queries that people are most searching for. It's not as simple as lead-free lures, although I'm sure it does include that, but it's a series of other things. And you would then have the authoritative content on it, which again, you seem to be a great source for. And whether you write it or you get someone to interview you to write it, there's probably a couple of good solutions there. And that way you'll just build a better awareness as on both the issue and as a great source for the product itself. Does that make sense from your point of view?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, that's one of the, it's kind of like being a trick rider. We got, riding two horses at once because we've got a cause, on one hand, plus we just want to let you know, we're just as good, we're a good fishing company. We'll get you help you catch fish and, hitting them both. And I've been wondering, why, everybody's like, that's just like with the podcast thing, everybody pushing me to do the blog. But now y'all think, and I appreciate it, you've brought all the points together. Now I see why they're telling me that.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely am going to, it's just, that's where, tactics versus strategy. I definitely want to push both things. That's kind of, it's kind of getting both sides of the angler's mind, his conservation side, plus his eagerness to have a good day out there on the water.
Yeah, and just at a quick search, I can see that the lead-free lures is an issue. As you pointed out, you discovered by seeing some state laws in the East Coast. There is some awareness of it out there, so there probably, well, you've already experienced it. There is some demand for lead-free lures, and so tapping into that immediately, so you get revenue, which is what you're doing, and then perhaps building some more of that issue content where you can now try to be part of converting more fisher people, over to the lead-free kind of version of the sport, if you will. I think that would be my prioritization suggestion. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're starting to move on to the next session here. There's a really good question that Michael probably has, but I think he can ask that in the room in a moment, the breakout rooms. So we're gonna wrap up with 2 questions.
Oh, hey, hold on.
Oh,
We Sean, I feel like Sean Navin has a good question that we'd like to hear.
Oh,
he was above Michael. Yeah, if you can get Sean, and then we'll move to the next questions, to your questions.
All right. Overridden by one of our co-leads, and so with Sean, you're all ready?
Yeah. Hey, John. Thanks for the presentation. Definitely relay the info to my brother. He's a big fisherman. My question is, why would the average fisherman who walks into the store choose your product versus the status quo product?
It's a good question, and this is the thing about why we have to raise the issue of lead-free fishing. Being that's an issue, because they walk in and see crappie doolers sitting there on the shelf. They're going to say, "Wow, I've never seen an underspin with 2 blades." And the way he's engineered that thing, those 2 blades click together and create what's called clack effect, which fishers know what that is, and it's just making hydrosonic waves. So it's boy, that's different kind of underspin. I'm gonna give that a try, and he's going to have success with that lure. He's going to come back. So see, on that product, we will get him just because it's a cool looking fishing lure. It looks like a lure that they're familiar with, but with a new idea behind it and like that. Now, if we come in and say, let's take, for example, I walk into Bass Pro and they do have a small lead-free section in their section of weights. Now I'm looking at those steel casting sinkers because I'm thinking, hey, steel won't distort. Steel won't, a steel bullet sinker, for example, won't distort and start pinching my line and cost me a big fish at the end of the day. Steel is hard, so when that sinker hits against stuff, it's going to make a kind of a clicking noise and stuff. And you see brass sinkers that are even harder, and guys are using those with knock weights and stuff. So there's certain fishing reasons a fisher might pick a hematite weight, because it's harder, it's going to make more noise, the hole's not going to distort. That's the fishing angle I would push, in addition to the fact that it's non-toxic. For example, tungsten, when they started out, they didn't even, we don't care that we're lead free. What we care is that our specific gravity is almost twice that of lead. So now you're using a smaller weight. You're able to come through weeds easier. If you're an ice fisher and you want a tiny little jig to go down 40, 50 feet, it's only going to take half the time, because you can use a jig that's actually weighs twice as much, even though it's the same size. So you give them that fishing advantage. But here lately, the tungsten people have been starting to say, hey, and we're environmentally friendly too. So, so it can go either way.
If I walk into the store and I see your package, is it going to say like lead free? Like, are you the only one on the shelf, or are there a bunch of people?
No, everybody that's doing it. And well, when I first started this, people say, oh no, your lead free symbol, it's way too small. Get that thing, I wish I was better at this, guys. I could pop up a package and show you, but yeah, we put everybody puts a little green leaf or that little circle with no PB on there. There are people like, y'all down there in New Mexico. First of all, a large part of your angling community is trout fishers, which are already super environmental usually and don't really need much lead to get what they do done. So, I've been plenty of places where, it's maybe overall people aren't familiar with lead-free fishing, but I'm shocked at the number of people from Alabama, Texas, Louisiana that are into lead-free fishing. And so they're out there looking for the stuff. So yeah, there's a way they can find it. It's just that when I'm looking for a 3/16 bullet weight, I may not be able to get that product yet lead-free. And that's my goal eventually too, is to make sure, we've got that availability factor. But anyway, I'm branching out on you, Sean. Anyhow, you got me thinking. But yeah, they come in, they might be looking for lead-free because of the environmental consequence. But there's a lot of guys that are just looking at lead-free as alternative material that gives them a better fishing day.
All right. So since Sean, by the way, Sean, did you introduce who you were?
Hey, he's got family that fishes. That's all I care. He's all right with me.
That's great. All right. So since Sean got to squeeze in, I'm gonna have Michael, because he's gonna go to the other room anyway. So Michael, would you be willing to ask your question?
Well, John, my question was kind of like when I saw okay, so a couple things. One is when I saw your presentation, it was all about this environmental issue. When I go to your webpage, that's not at all there. It's not present. But the other part of my question, the thing that came up to me was, some places the environmental issue is important, like Minnesota obviously would be, loons are really important. But New Mexico, I don't know that loons are very important here, or swans. And so I'm wondering if you've thought about like how you're marketing how to use the environment in your marketing would be the first question. And then how to be location specific about your marketing.
That's a good observation.
Thanks, Michael.
Yes. Yeah, you get up to, loons are a big deal, and Minnesota's looked at lead-free laws. They've done some designated water, sort of a thing where this lake or that lake. Also in Michigan, both loons and swans are important, and they realize that they're losing them because of the direct connection with lead. Down in New Mexico, yeah, it would take some study to see if there's a specific wildlife entity that's being victimized, but lead isn't good for people either. And lead is something that, we talk to people about. Hey, what they used to tell me, I get people to tell me, they're my age, like, when I was a kid, I used to just bite down that lead split shot right onto the line. And I said, well, I used to do that too. And my wife tells me I'd probably be a whole lot smarter today if I hadn't done that.
Oh,
because it only takes a particle of lead the size of a grain of salt to have an effect on your body. And if you up it to 2 grains, it's permanent, and you may even show symptoms. So one thing I tell, people overall is that, and in fact, if you want to get on Fish Nerds and listen to the Lazy Cody interview, I get with a Texas angler, and he's talking to me about, hey, I don't have any loons, and, I live in West Texas, and, but he's all about, we talk it through to where he's like, yeah, I see the bigger picture about lost lead being concentrated in the places where people fish. Whether there's a direct link between the demise of wildlife in your area or not, it doesn't make sense to add a toxin as deadly as lead to the water if we don't have to. So we will get an environmental response just in general, because the idea of putting lead in the water when we don't have to doesn't sit well with a lot of people.
And all I'm just pointing out is to get that environment message, geographically meaningful, and also to get it onto your website.
Absolutely. I see, Michael, I'm doing all the jobs, and I can do an A+ job at some things, and other things it's kind of a C- job. And I was worried about people navigating the site, so I made the logo smaller. And so, yeah, makers of lead-free tackle. I should probably go back to my homepage and get the big lead-free symbol in there somewhere and all that. Now, somebody that's really good at WordPress could probably do that in 10 minutes. It might take me an hour, and I may have to call one of my buddies or something to figure out how to get it done. But I hear what you're saying. And that's why I love talking to people, because, I get in a little bubble where my close associates are all on board with this, and I forget about the people that are new and coming in saying, hey, where are you at? I tried to find you. You need to really pump up that lead-free message. So I appreciate it. And as far as specificity, yeah, if I go do a talk up in Lansing, Michigan, I'm gonna be talking swans. I go somewhere else, I'm definitely going to talk about, definitely try to make it as germane to their situation as I possibly can.
Thank you, John. 2 more questions then. One I kind of prepped you for, I hope, which is red or green?
Christmas.
There we are.
I love chilies. Hey, baby, red, green, bring it on.
And then how can this community help you?
Well, I think, you've done it. I've got first of all, I would like to send me the show notes or the chat notes if that's possible, so I can read, because it's hard enough for me to pay attention without trying to look down at the chat. One of these days I'll be media savvy enough, perhaps. But also, I just you need to get in touch with me. You want to discuss more, and of course we're going to do this room thing. But by having me put that ask in there, Adam, I think we've looked at it pretty hard. You got some really good ideas, and you come up with someone that's really good with WordPress or really good at SEO. You're working through your day and you think, hey, my friend Amanda, what was I thinking? She's great with SEO. You want to send me some names? Send me some names. I'll consider it, because I need to reach out. I need to delegate. And where I'm doing a C- job, I need to find somebody that can do an A+ job for me. I don't mind handling everything, but then again, I do, because I feel like, like we all feel, I should be doing what I'm good at and let somebody else take over on the stuff that I'm not so good at. Right. So just feel free to contact me. Feel free to send me anything, that comes to your mind, any kind of people contacts. I have met not only fantastic people doing 1MC, but then have been turned on to other fantastic people. And that would be the main part of the nitty-gritty practical side of it, Adam. That's what I would like.
Great. That was wonderful. And I just sent you the saved notes.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
And up next, we have events, or I'm actually not sure the next step right now.
Well, yes, Eric has some events to share with us.
I do. And my connection's a little poor, so I just actually posted all those things in the chat, but I'll run through them real quick. And if I freeze, then see ya. But anyway, let's see. Later today, so Lobo Rainforest Innovation, right across the street from Fat Pipe, has been doing a series of different events, usually 2 events a week. On Wednesdays from 10:30 to 4, you got to sort of pre-schedule. But they've got this virtual startup boot camp and mentoring sessions that run for most of the day following 1 Million Cups. On Thursdays, we typically talk about the bilingual version of 1 Million Cups that takes place with South Valley Economic Development Center.
And I just want to drop in. Whoop, Eric, just real quick. There's no Taza tomorrow, but there will be a Taza next week.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw in Facebook that they were claiming they had one tomorrow. So,
well, I was scheduled and they canceled it. So
well, I'm sorry.
Plot Techies is scheduled next Thursday, and they told me that tomorrow's canceled. So
awesome. Well, not awesome about canceling, but awesome that you'll be part of it. So make sure to check it out. Let's see. Also on Friday, we've got Adam's Friday Flow with our own Adam Sparks Brechtel. They're talking about project tools and techniques this Friday. And that's followed. Activate NM also has a good series of typically weekly events. They've got their mentor office hours and usually some additional presentations. And that's happening on Friday as well. Global Entrepreneurship Week is happening. There's at least a handful of events that are happening in the Albuquerque, Santa Fe plus area. And of course, it's all virtual, so you can find something. That's taking place from November 14th through the 22nd. There'll be some more announcements of a few things that are going on, but I know Sonia's got something that's part of that she wanted to share.
Right. I know I've been mentioning before that we were looking at having an event during Global Entrepreneurship Week that was going to be bringing ecosystem builders together to talk about what can we do for Albuquerque. Instead, my team decided that what was more important, and I totally agree, is that we put on something specifically for entrepreneurs. So November 21st and maybe the 22nd, we're still building the schedule. We are going to have a New Mexico small business resource event, expo, whatever it is, with presentations and information. We're going to keep the tickets pretty cheap, just so we want to make sure everyone has a chance to attend. And we're still figuring out all the details and the schedule and the speakers. So if you're interested in speaking, I am going to put my email address in the chat, and you can email me a specific topic that you're interested in. I can't promise you'll get to speak, but we're working on it. And that's it. All right. Eric, we can't hear you because you're on mute.
No, that's all I got. So thank you for adding that in.
Cool. All right. So Lisa, it's all you now.
All right, guys, we have our breakout rooms. We have a presentation room with Glasswater Angling and John King. I've already had a few responses. And our COVID-19 update with Paul Sauter. So if you haven't already requested your room, please do that. Let's say goodbye to our live audience.